Hey loves, welcome back to the channel. Clap for the heavyweight champ, me, but I couldn't do it all alone. Can we clap for some consistency? Because the consistency has been consistency if that's a word. Anywho, I feel like every week I've been kind of like coming on here and talking to you all about like my reflections, and today I really want to talk about where you're supposed to be. And I was catching up with one of my sisters earlier this week, and I was saying to her that basically I feel like God has given me a specific instruction, which I know and I'm following, but I was trying to give her an explanation of how I felt. And I was saying to her, like, obviously I've been on social media for years, mainly on Instagram and I would say YouTube, of more recent TikTok. But everything that I do is in the comfortability of how I do it. So being on Instagram Live is something that I would do with my eyes closed, interviewing people and things of that nature. But TikTok Live now it's an interesting place, and I believe that God is calling me on TikTok, but not in a way that I'm comfortable in TikTok, but in a way in which I am doing something completely different and completely out of my comfort zone. And sometimes we can be so comfortable that even in the instruction it just feels so far stretched and just out of sync. It just doesn't make sense. And we was catching up. I was asking her about our podcast, and I was just trying to explain to her the way that I was feeling. And I was saying to her, it almost feels like I'm Peter in the boat. And it's like I've exhausted this area, and it's only until God gave me this instruction that I actually recognized how exhausted I had exhausted this area. And I was just like, okay, you want me to do this Bible study online, or you want me to do this Bible study live. However, I'm so used to doing it on Zoom. I'm so used to having my PowerPoint slides, and you just want me to go on with some notes and a word. And I was like, yeah, this just feels a lot. But the more that I have been going on live is the more comfortable I've been feeling. I'm like, oh, this is not as bad. But if I wasn't obedient in what I believe God was telling me to do, I would still be stuck doing the same thing on Instagram, expecting different results. And I said to her, I almost feel like I'm Peter in the boat, where he's been fishing all night. So if you all know Peter in the Bible, he's a fisherman, and Jesus is collecting, or, you know, what should I say, recruiting his disciples. And he gets to, I believe it was Simon, and he just basically, it says that he's been fishing all night. You can read it, it's in Luke 5. He's been fishing all night. Jesus comes and he says to him, he says in chapter 5, Luke 5:4, he says, and when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, put out into the deep and let your nets down for a catch. And, you know, some versions might say the other side, or some versions might say the deep, etc. And I was likening this to Instagram versus TikTok. And I was like, I've been fishing and fishing and fishing on Instagram, but God is now calling me to TikTok. And as soon as I get on there, things are just completely different to Instagram. And it's that instruction where God has said to you, look, put your net down in the deep. What is deep? Deep is somewhere that's uncomfortable. It's somewhere that's low. It's somewhere that you've never been before. It's somewhere that might be a little bit more like, you know, dark. You're not sure what's happening down there. And he's saying, look, let your net down and put it in the deep. And then Simon's saying to him, well, we've toiled all night. I've been toiling for many years on Instagram. I ain't seen nothing happen. And he's like, all right, I'll do it, etc. And then all of a sudden they just feel this tug and this pull, and the fish that they catch are so much that other people have to come alongside and manage that. And that's what I believe that God is saying for me to do, why he's telling me to switch and change to TikTok. And sometimes you're not going to understand why God is giving you a shift or a change, or he's telling you to do specific things. All you have to do is be obedient. And I feel like this message is for somebody that has been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you have an instruction from God, but you're so comfortable. Like, remember I was saying to you, for me to go on TikTok, I haven't started it yet, I'm doing it on Saturday. I've got a series, shameless plug, called Shameless. And I'm going to be doing a study of 4 women in the Bible: the woman at the well, the woman with the issue of blood, the woman caught in the act of adultery, and the woman with the jar of oil, for 4 weeks on Saturday between 8 and 9 a.m. on TikTok live and on YouTube live. No slideshows, no Zoom, no PowerPoint, just me, my notes, and the word. And I was like, this is so uncomfortable. And there are some of you that are so comfortable with the way that you do things, and you're asking God for more, and you know, it might not end up being in the way that you're used to doing it, but you've got to be obedient to the very thing that God is asking you to do, even though it feels uncomfortable. And that's where I'm at the moment. But in that obedience, that is better than sacrifice, you are going to see the fruit, you are going to see the grace, and you are going to see the mercy of God, because anything that God asks us to do is always bigger than us. It's bigger than our feelings, it's bigger than our shyness, it's bigger than our insecurities, it's bigger than our comfort zones. Because if we stay in our comfort zones, then of course everything is just going to be blah, the same, or just comfortable. But when he stretches us and he pulls us and he's saying to us, look, I need you to do this instead of that, because that you've been doing is just not that in, but this that I got, it's gonna this, and it's gonna this some more. So I just wanted to come on here and encourage you that if God is pulling you out of your comfort zone, or he's asking you to do something that feels uncomfortable, feel the uncomfortability and do it anyway, because there are people that are depending on the very thing that God is asking you to do in the very place he's asking you to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So be encouraged. If God is asking you to do something, there is a reason that will unveil itself in the obedience of you doing it. So, you know, be a Peter. Hear the word of God. Cast down your net again, but go a little deeper and see what God does. So I love you all with an infinite love. I hope that that's encouraged some of y'all on here. And we will definitely catch up very, very soon next week. But make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe so that you can see me on live, put in your notification bells and all that good stuff, so that we can be attuned with all that I've got coming, because I'm really, really excited. And as I said, I'm looking for a community of people that need what I have, the Infinite Woman, the brands of edifying, equipping, and educating women in the Lord, via events, Bible studies, speaking and teaching, and just, yeah, really looking forward to all that God is going to do. So I'm a go. Peace and hair grease. I'll speak to you soon.